Mark walked the dark alleys of the industrial district until his boots ached. The rhythm was constant. Left foot, right foot, the scrape of rubber against wet brick. For 3 nights, this was the job. Walk, record, collect. It was steady enough for a struggling actor waiting for a break that never came. He checked the display on his shoulder, the red light blinking in the damp air, and sighed. The silence of the district was heavy, broken only by the distant hum of city traffic. His phone vibrated against his thigh. He pulled it out, thumb hovering over the screen. A new notification. Triple pay for a night shift at the old subway terminal. He looked down the empty street, the shadows stretching long and jagged against the walls. A part of him hesitated, sensing the sudden shift in the offer, but the rent was overdue, and the silence of the city was suffocating. He typed, "Accept," and pocketed the device. He turned away from his usual route and headed toward the subway entrance, unaware that the game had changed. The pay was not for the recording. It was for the target. The subway terminal smelled of stagnant water and rusted iron. Mark stepped onto the platform, his boots crunching over shattered tiles. He strapped the device provided by the client against his chest, the weight pulling at his shoulders. He fumbled with the buckles until it felt secure. He pulled his phone out to start the feed. The screen flickered. A live image of the device under his jacket appeared, showing wires snaking across his ribcage. A red light blinked with a steady, clinical pulse. Then, the screen went black, and a single line of text burned into his vision. "There has been a mistake. You are not wearing a camera. You are wearing an explosive. The trigger is my thumb." Mark stood frozen, his breath hitching in his throat. The silence of the tunnel felt suddenly lethal. He reached for the buckle, but his phone vibrated violently in his palm. A sharp, clear voice crackled through his earpiece. "Do not stop walking. I can hear your heart rate spiking. If you stop, you die. Keep moving." He took a stumbling step forward, his hands trembling at his sides, realizing the weight on his chest was not a job, but a death sentence. Mark stumbled out of the terminal, his legs moving with a mechanical urgency dictated by the voice in his ear. Every shadow in the alleyway seemed to hide a threat, but the real danger was strapped to his ribs. He turned corners only when the earpiece clicked, his hands trembling as he gripped his phone. The voice was cold, precise, and entirely devoid of human empathy. He guided Mark through narrow service tunnels that smelled of exhaust and rot, forcing him to navigate the city's hidden veins. "Why are we doing this?" Mark hissed into his collar, his voice cracking. The response was immediate and biting. "You are mapping escape paths. I am hitting the bank in 20 minutes. You are the distraction. The police will follow your signal. If you stop, you die. If you talk, you die." The realization hit Mark with the force of a physical blow. He was not a person. He was a beacon, a disposable pawn meant to draw law enforcement away from the true target. He looked ahead toward the city center, where the glowing lights at the skyline promised only chaos. Every step brought him closer to the bank, and every vibration of his phone felt like the countdown to his own end. Mark looked at the police station 3 blocks away. The voice hissed, "Turn left. Now." He ignored the command. He planted his feet, grit his teeth, and sprinted toward the glass doors. His lungs burned. The earpiece screeched with rage. He burst into the lobby, his hands raised, screaming for help. Officers pivoted, hands on weapons. The voice in his ear laughed, a cold, jagged sound. "Fool, the bomb is not on you. It is in the phone you are holding. You just walked into a building full of people." The beeping in his hand shifted, rising into a high-pitched, mechanical whine. Mark did not think. He lunged for a heavy metal evidence bin, tore the phone from his grip, and slammed it deep inside. He dove behind a heavy oak desk, curling into a ball. A deafening blast ripped through the air. The glass front of the station disintegrated. The floor bucked. Dust and smoke filled the space in a suffocating cloud. Mark lay still, ears ringing, his vision swimming in gray. He pushed himself up, bruised and trembling, as blue lights swarmed the shattered lobby from every direction. The threat was gone, but the silence that followed was heavy with the weight of what had nearly happened. Weeks after the blast, the smell of ozone and shattered glass had finally faded from Mark's mind. He stood in a fluorescent-lit casting office, his pulse steady, waiting for the director to speak. The director leaned forward, tapping a finger on a tablet displaying news footage of the bank heist and the police station ruins. "I saw you on the news," the director said, his voice devoid of sympathy. "That was a performance. Can you do that again for the camera?" Mark offered a practiced, hollow smile and nodded. Success felt like a thin layer of ice over a deep, dark lake. He stepped out of the office and into the crowded street. Suddenly, his new phone buzzed in his palm. He looked down. An unknown number flashed on the screen. He swiped to open the message. It read, "Good job. That was your real audition. Welcome to the team. Your first mission starts tomorrow. Do not be late." Or explosive. Mark stopped walking. The city noise around him seemed to vanish. He looked at the device, then back at the busy sidewalk. There was no escape. The hand that had tried to kill him now held his future. He slipped the phone into his pocket and turned, already walking toward his next assignment.